You are a being of abundant love, health, and wealth. You are a manifestation of the divine. In a world where we are stripped of our authenticity, I am here to walk you home by reminding you of your ultimate power. I am Cassandra, the creator and artist of Magic of Eden. Welcome to my podcast, Magic of Eden, the journey to your highest version. On my podcast, I'll be featuring and performing my poetry. I'll discuss traumatic and heartwarming experiences and how we can use magic to help us reclaim our divinity and evolve along our spiritual journeys. I'll also pull tarot and oracle cards during some discussions and leave you with words of encouragement as you reclaim the God and Goddess within you. I hope that through my passion and vulnerability that I am able to create a safe haven for you to thrive and transform. Grand Rising. Good afternoon and good evening. Thank you so much for coming back to another episode of Magic of Eden, the journey to your highest version. My name is Cassandra. I am your host here, and it is always good to be in good love and good light and high vibes and in good spirits with you guys today. And today's topic, I really just want to kind of get right into this because I've been feeling very, very, very sensitive today, abnormally sensitive. And I've already set the intention that I want this to be a very authentic and wholesome message. I am setting the intention that this is not a motivational thing for you guys, but more of words of encouragement, because I know that there are a lot of things that are happening right now. I know that there are a lot of breakdowns, a lot of things happening on our planet right now with everything shifting and moving and maneuvering into a new world. And I know that a lot of us, especially if you're a part of my tribe, you're more than likely a highly sensitive individual who's highly intuitive and who picks up on energies like crazy. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into this. So for those of you that follow me on Instagram, you guys know that if I am not posting things on, in posts, I'm always, posting things in my stories, right? And some of the things that I've been posting really have been downloads that I get randomly. And my husband knows this about me. Like, we'll be having a conversation and dead smack in the middle of the conversation, I'll stop and then I'll just start saying shit, right? And then sometimes, he kind of looks at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then other times he's like, okay, I understand what's happening. And so what I'll do is I'll stop and then I'll say these things, and then something guides me to say, put this on your post. Not post, but put this on your story on Instagram. And for those of you that follow me on Instagram at Magic of Eden, you are more than likely to go ahead and go to my page and look in I think it's the insights or something like that, and check where it says visions. The pages of the slides that you want to look at are going to probably be the last 7, I think. Between the last 4 and the last 7, you want to go and check those out. I don't have them pulled right in front of me. That's the reason why, because my phone is on the charger in the other room, and plus I didn't want any distractions, so I'm just kind of chilling here without that. So anyways, I want to start off with telling you guys about a dream that I had, and I'm actually going to tell you about the most current dream. And it's so important that I get this out to you guys, because actually I was preparing an episode for dreams and what are they and how to do dream work and dream interpretations and things of that nature, but I had to stop and come on here and tell you guys what's up, what I've been feeling, what I've been seeing, and things of that nature. And yeah, I just really had to stop because it was so overwhelming. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I have things written down. I actually have my notebook here next to me just in case I forget some things. So I may be reading off of the pages, and I've got some symbolism for you guys and all of that good stuff. So anyways, earlier in the week, I think it may have been a few days ago, you guys are going to have to forgive me because I am completely tapped out of time. What is time anyway, right? But I've been completely tapped out of it. The days kind of just merged together at this point. Something that happened last week, I think it happened yesterday, or something that happened, yesterday, I think it happened last week. I don't even know anymore. So that's it's been kind of a doozy. Now I had this dream, and I purposely had this dream actually because I put myself into a dream state actually. So what I did was, after I received, those downloads and whatnot, I ended up, like I said, I think it was like a few nights ago, where I set the intention to figure out, why I was having those downloads. So right before, I didn't feel like completely putting myself into doing it like the long way. Like I didn't feel like putting myself into the dream state the long way. So what I did was I waited until I was extremely tired. And before that, I actually, wasn't on my phone. I didn't mess with anything. I left everything alone. I breathed and everything. I cleared my mind and things like that. So I relaxed a little bit. And then when I felt like I was on the verge of falling asleep, I said, Divine, why have I been getting those downloads? Show me what's going on, right? So I go to sleep or whatever. I don't know how long it took, right? And from what I remember in the dream, right, I was basically taken back, in a time before time existed anyways, right? It was as if I was placed in a very specific cosmic memory. And from what I remember from the beginning of the dream, of course, and remember, everything is symbolic. Like, dreams are highly symbolic. I'm going to go over this in another episode, but for now, let's just take this for what it is, right? I was placed at a very specific time, a very specific memory. And I was standing to the left of something, right? No, I was standing to the right of something, actually. Sorry, I'm reading my notes here. I was standing to the right of something, and then it was on my left. And whatever this thing was, I couldn't see a face, I couldn't see a presence, but I could feel a presence in the dream. And that's how I know that I was being shown something. And from what I remember standing like on this lush mountain. If there was like a lush mountain, it was full of greenery. It had so many plants and, little critters and things like that. It was very beautiful. From what I remember, it wasn't a gloomy day, but it was more so like a kind of like that rising, before the sun comes up and things like that, before the sun fully peaks beyond the clouds type of deal. It looked kind of like it wanted to rain, but it didn't feel rainy, if that makes sense. But anyways, and from what I remember, and if you hear anything in the background, it's just my notebook. I have paper here, like I said. Yeah, and then from what I remember on this mountain, I want to point out that the first thing that I remember seeing were two primate or humanoid beings that were walking upright. Now, the first one that I remember seeing, it had like this orangey brown shaggy hair, and it wasn't bald, like bald headed, but it didn't have much hair at the top, and it stood upright. If I had to guess how tall it was, I don't really want to make shit up because the way that our memories work, we don't remember everything, so I don't want to make anything up. I'm just gonna say that it looked pretty tall, right? And there was another one standing next to it, and it was a shorter one. And that one had like a dusty white, shaggy type of hair as well. And you can consider these Yetis or Bigfoots or, a species of early humans, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't remember it being anything like an Ardipithecus, or it wasn't anything like a Gigantopithecus. Like, it wasn't anything like that from what I remember. Not anything that I've ever seen in, human evolution studies from when I, was researching things. So, overall, it was just a very bizarre looking species that I don't recall ever having seen in my life in a textbook or over the internet or anything like that. So from what I remember, the tall one, the brownish one, I remember the eyes being very familiar. It looks like human eyes. You know how we have the whites and then we have, the pupils and like the color and all that good stuff. It had eyes like that, but they were a bit bigger. And it held a staff in its hand, in its right hand. Now, what this being was doing was it was actually showing the shorter one the land. It was showing it the mountain. It was showing it something, and it was pointing with the staff, and it was as if they were communicating, like they were speaking, they were talking. In the dream, I couldn't hear anything though. All I was doing was just observing. Like, I was the observer in the dream. Now, what I'm going to do is draw the conclusion because it feels right. Like, this feels intuitively right? Especially as, as it pertains to the downloads that I've been receiving. This being was clearly showing this other being the ways of the earth. It was showing them something, like they were communicating something about the earth, because I don't remember seeing a face on the other one, but I remember it looking at the earth, like the one that was tall with the staff in its hand. It was showing the other one something, pointing the staff at things like that, and the other was looking like, okay, kind of like, how I would be teaching someone if I were showing them something. You know how we're having like a friendly conversation, and we show each other things like with our hands, and we point. That's exactly what these beings are doing. It was so crazy, right? And I remember just kind of looking like, wow, like what the hell are they talking about? Like, what are they doing? Like, I couldn't hear anything, but it was like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna trip. Something was like, just continue to look, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and continue. And also I want to point out that, because like I said, I'm looking at my notes here, the being that was showing the other one, the stuff in the ways of the earth, was very enthusiastic. Like it had like this not hyper, but like this hipper jump to it, like it was very excited about showing the land, and it was very excited about showing what it had learned, and it reminded me of agriculture. Now the next part of this voice that was neither male nor female, it was non-binary. I can't remember exactly what it sounded like, but it was very distinct. Like I couldn't describe it as a man's voice or a woman's voice or a male's voice or a female voice. Like it didn't have, a very high pitch to it. It didn't have a very low pitch to it. It was just very monotone, and it was a very divine voice though. It was so weird. But anyways, I had turned around and I remember seeing this Caucasian or this white man sticking his head in the mouth of a crocodile or alligator. I can't remember exactly which one it was. What I have written down here is that it was a crocodile, actually. And the crocodile, I could tell, was getting ready to like close its mouth because it was feeling very agitated, but it didn't do it. And this white man was just like, he was very annoying. Like he was just like sticking his head, tormenting this poor animal, and it was just really, really, really fucking annoying. Right? But I'm the observer, obviously I can't do anything. And yeah, it was just really, 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 really bizarre. And I was like, you know what? This guy's gonna get his fucking head eaten off. But it didn't happen. Now, keep in mind that the dream didn't flow together per se. Think of it as if you're watching a YouTube video and it just goes like directly to the next slide. That's exactly how the dream was. It would go from one imagery to the next imagery to the next imagery with no type of slider or anything in there at all. No fade to black, no fade to white, nothing like that. So anyways, no events were happening in the middle of transition. There was nothing. So the last part of the dream, from what I remember seeing this Orisha called Papa Legba. I believe that's how you pronounce the Orisha's name. I am not a part of the African diaspora or anything like that, so please forgive me if there's anyone who knows anything about the Orishas that is listening to this. I am more than happy to learn. I am open to discussion and things of that nature. So yes, thank you very much for kindly and respectfully teaching me about these Orishas without being offended, because I will not respond to anybody's ego. I am not that person. I will shut you down very, very quickly if I feel that you're coming at me wrong. Why am I saying that? I have no idea. But anyways, I guess I'm just gonna have to leave that in there. But anyways, yeah, so I remember seeing Papa Legba, and the imagery that I got first of all with this Orisha was that the way that he depicted himself. Now I have heard of stories of Papa Legba and how he can come to you in different forms. If he comes to you apparently like in the childish form, it's he's more like, it's like a trick that he's playing on you or something like that, and that's when he depicts himself as like a small child, I believe it is. Please look again, I don't know anything about the Orisha, so I'm just kind of going based off from the things that I've heard. I will do more research on it. I just don't have many credible sources, but When I learn more about the Orishas, or this Orisha in particular, I will come back and do another podcast letting you guys know what I learned. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, the way that he depicted himself, he was this tall young man, and the man that I saw in my dream, he looked like he was probably in like his late 20s, early 30s or something. And he had like this magician's hat on. Well, something that looks like a magician's hat. It was the hat that was kind of tall at the top. It was circular, but it looked almost kind of like rectangular in a way. It was black, and he had almost these amber brown eyes, and they were very soft and they were glowing, and it was just really, this man looked really, really nice. And I remember him just looking and smiling, and I remember something saying, Papa Legba can manifest himself as a Tasmanian devil or as a snake. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Anyways, so in the dream, I remember I was hovering over this anaconda, and this thing was fucking massive. When I tell you guys, I almost got scared in that fucking dream. It was so wild. And then I remember seeing this Tasmanian devil, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I seeing a Tasmanian devil in my dream? I'm not fucking with this animal. This animal's crazy. Get me out of this dream. Get me out of this fucking dream. So anyways, that was basically the dream. You know, it was a lot of symbolism going on in this dream. Like, it was so much symbolism happening. And yeah, like, that's basically what the dream was. Now, allow me to give you my interpretation of it. And I'm going to go ahead also and give you the downloads that I received after having the dream. Now, here's the part where I have to get very serious, but I want you guys to take a moment, to take a few breaths, meditate for a few minutes if you have to, pause the podcast and just breathe, right? I'm not trying to scare anyone. I am not trying to induce any fear. I am not trying to put you in a place of anxiety. I am not trying to trigger you in any way, shape, or form. I need you to take what I am saying as extremely symbolic. I need you to take this as just a message, as a potential. It is not the end all be all. It does not mean that it is going to happen, but it is great for you to just listen to the message, take it for what it is, take it with a grain of salt, use your discernment. If what I am saying you're not vibing with, I totally respect that, right? But I need you to center yourself, especially if you are a person who is easily frightened, especially if you are a person who is easily sensitive. Okay? Having said that, the first thing that I want to say is that there is another dream that I had that I'm not going to talk about in this podcast. I'm going to talk about that in another podcast, because that's something, and it relates to this one, but I want to talk about that one separately because there is a very specific message that I have to give the collective as it pertains to that one. But some of the downloads that I got was sickness, plague, death, dependency, artificial intelligence, cosmic warfare. And a quote that I received was, either you are going to depend on their system or you're not. So that download was basically, we are going to be given a choice. Either you are going to comply or you are not. You'll have to find or create a middle ground until your world is reclaimed. That was another download message that I got. Now, I want to go back to the symbolism, and I want to start with the symbolism of the Tasmanian devil first and foremost. Now, the Tasmanian devil is a creature that is very soul-shaking. Now, this creature, if you've ever seen it, it is depicted actually as a Tasmanian devil in Looney Tunes. And if you guys know anything about the Looney Tunes, I feel like the Tasmanian devil is very symbolic for chaos, for destruction, for anger, rage, things of that nature. Now, the animal, the Tasmanian devil, actually is an animal that is full of rage, that, you know, has a very, 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 very bad temper. It is extremely temperamental, extremely territorial, especially the females. And this little creature, from what I remember, is black and white. And I'm actually going to go ahead and type in Tasmanian devil in my computer right here. And yeah, like this little creature is a badass. Like it's black and it's got like this white streak like on the shoulder part of it. At least some of them do. I don't know if all of them do. And it is just this creature from fucking hell. Like this bad boy's got to fucking scream out of this world, and they are not to be fucked with. And I couldn't find anything in a book per se. I have two books that I was using. It is the Book of Symbols, Reflections on Archetypal Images by Archive for Research in Archetypal Symbolism, which is the author of that book, and I'll go ahead and I'll link that down in the description. And I also used the Complete Dictionary of Symbols by Jack Tressiter. Please forgive me for fucking up that name. I'm pretty sure I did. And I used those two books along with my intuition for the symbolism of the animals, and I could not find anything on the Tasmanian devil, so I went strictly with my own intuition. Now, my intuition, the way that I feel about the Tasmanian devil is that it, to me, is a very bad omen. It is this creature of the shadows. It is the creature of screams. It is a creature of hell. And it indeed reminds me of destruction. It indeed reminds me of, a force that drives you out. It is a force to be reckoned with. And I want to say that with that comes the heavy message of the times that we are in right now. With all of these foundations being shaken up, with all of, our families being torn apart, with all of the mass chaos that is happening on Earth right now, I believe that the symbolism behind the Tasmanian devil means that there is going to be more destruction to come. There is going to be a lot of death happening on the planet. I do believe that, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this is just what I've been receiving, and I'm trying so hard to just say the message without feeling like I have to censor myself, And I want to say this too, before I get into that, is that the decisions that you make are yours, and they are yours alone. And I will never shame anybody for making any type of decision that they made based upon their own research. And I am not here to tell them that what they did was wrong. Okay? What I am going to say is that for people that are making decisions to do this, it's going to cause major disruption in the body, in the organs, in the blood. And it's not a message that is easy to hear, and it's not a message that is easy to give, because I understand how people feel about their health. But I'm going to tell you right now that it's going to bring mass destruction and chaos. And I don't say this lightly. I don't say this as a way to scare people at all, but I truly do believe that based off of what I have seen in the world, that I've read on, and I will make sure that I do another podcast. Actually, I've got so many podcasts that I need to do on the research of certain things, with articles you can read on yourself, but I want to make sure that I give legitimate resources, not just something that I'm pulling out of my ass. But for those of you that are here, you're more than likely an intuitive, and we are vibing, so I feel that should be enough reason to say what I feel like I need to say. Yes, and I want you guys to also use your rational minds, and what and what you think and how you think and things of that nature. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and continue. But it's not even just about what you're putting in your body. It's also what we're consuming. What we're consuming as far as, our, social media, what we're buying, what has our attention, and things of that nature. Is it nurturing you, or is it pulling you away from wholeness? Is it tearing you apart? Is it giving you this false illusion of security? Is it giving you this false illusion of fulfillment? Like, what is it that you are consuming? Because no matter what if you're consuming something that is of a lower vibration, then eventually you'll become that lower vibration, because if you are not in a space where you are using your discernment, then yes, chaos, death, plague will follow you after that. And no, I'm not cursing anyone. I'm not hoping this for anyone. I am not saying that it absolutely will happen, but for a lot of people, it's happening now, and we can see this happening, now with, the separations and with social distancing and like all this bullshit that's, happening now. We are literally being, torn away from the things and the people that we love. And with this Tasmanian devil, I see this as a sign for hell on earth. I mean, we're living it now. We're living in a very tumultuous time, and there's that. Anyway, I want to move forward and I want to go with the crocodile. Now, from what I remember about the crocodile, I remember that a part of the symbolism with that is that the crocodile is a reptile. For one, it's a dinosaur, and so it is very adaptable. And it is said to be the protector of the underworld. It is said to be about death, but also about you navigating through the shadow realm. This emotional body or this emotional aspect of yourself, and you were able to navigate through that and see it and see things for what they are and come up and return to land so that you can become nurtured and become whole again and healed. And it is a very, very, very protective animal. And I feel like with this man sticking its head inside of that crocodile, it was a disruption of that. It was a disruption in the emotional healing. It was something that was interfering with the healing process that needed to be cut out, that needed to stop. Because there's something that I feel a lot of people are feeling, they're feeling taken advantage of. I feel like they're feeling robbed. What I'm hearing is that some people are feeling robbed of their emotional healing, especially because of what's happening in the world now. It's like people are constantly bombarding you with these different things, distracting you and taking you away and pulling you away from what really matters, which is the healing, which is what is needed right now. Especially because the divine is telling me that, look, like what I need you to do as a soul on this planet, a part of your mission is to help lead people through the shadows so that they can then come to light, so that they can meet their light. And I feel like with the crocodile, this is our ability to navigate between the shadow realm and the light realm and take wisdom and pull wisdom from that, just as the high priestess does. And I truly do believe that there is a mass interruption of that with all of these different things, impeding our growth. And I do believe that, this white man, was also a representation of the fucking privilege that people have to even do that to other people. The power, the control that, these people have, and what I'm hearing is the word resources. The fact that people are using, our resources against us, to intervene with our natural process of fucking healing. And I think it's very, very, very repulsive. It's not even annoying. It's just truly disgusting and repulsive that people have the fucking guts and the resources, the time, the energy to interfere with the most vulnerable fucking aspects of us, I feel like. And, this white man, I feel, represents the control, and, this control, this power that is not awarded or afforded to everyone. And because of that, it backs us into a wall sometimes. It makes us feel as though this is inevitable. It's almost kind of like rape, where you're forced to do something that you don't want to do, or you're forced to comply with this when you don't want to, when you know that it's not in your nature or in your spirit to comply, but you feel that you have no choice, right? And I feel that is very symbolic with what's going on now with all of these, with these mandates and this, you can't do this and you can't do that, and you have to wear this and you have to wear that, and if you don't do this, then this is going to happen. Then we're going to create these mandates that tell you that you can't do this and you can't do that, and it's just, it feels as if everything is being stripped away from us, right? And that's what I feel the message is with that crocodile and with that man. Something unnatural to you coming to you, taking away and impeding on your liberty and confiscating your liberty and your right to fucking exist. Like our rights to fucking exist is being stripped away from us more and more every fucking day. But there is a good side to this, because now I want to further talk about the symbolism of the anaconda. Now, the anaconda is also a very adaptable animal. It is obviously a reptile, and anacondas are known as the man-eating snakes, right? And these anacondas can grow so fucking long, it's ridiculous. But anyways, let's get right into the symbolism. Now, the symbolism for the anaconda is the same as other snakes. I see this as rebirth. I see this as death. I see this as, of course, transformation, but I also see this as our ability to shed to shed ourselves, to shed who we once were as we navigate towards divinity. And what I feel like I'm seeing, or that I'm feeling from this snake, is that we have to become wide open to change. We have to become wide open and available to transition. Now, if you guys listen to my previous podcast, I believe it was Release Resistance, You Are Headed to a Life of Thriving. I believe it was that podcast. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to that one, because you're going to need that to understand what I'm going to say right now. So anyways, right now, I feel like we are headed to a time where transition is very inevitable. It is imminent. And I do believe that we are being called to allow ourselves to transform through these experiences. That no matter what is happening right now, we are being called to do the best that we can to show up. And I want to intertwine this with Papa Legba. Now, Papa Legba, what I've researched also is that he is the Orisha that you would go to if you wanted to connect to God, and you would meet him at the crossroads. Now, there's more symbolism behind that. Now, the crossroads to me is where mind meets matter, or as above, so below. It's where spirits and the earth realm meet. It is where the intangible and the tangible meet. And when you go to this crossroad, I feel like this is a place where you are connected to spirit. This is a place where you go to share your hurt, to share your pain, to share the things that you have hindering on your heart, to lay your burdens down at this crossroads, to be completely destroyed by spirit, so that you can then move forward and progress forward in confidence, with clarity, with love, with a high vibration. And I really do believe that spirit is saying, what I need you all to do right now is, or whenever you can, whenever you feel called to, is I need you to come to that crossroads, and I need you to write this down. Write it down. Go to a crossroads. I need you to, and for some reason I'm hearing I need to give a penny. I am not sure why. I'm hearing to give a penny and to give a coconut. I am not really sure why, but I'm going to go and do research on that to see why. But anyways, to give a penny. And I need you to share with me, what is it that you are holding on to? What is it that you're feeling? What is within the depths of you? What is your emotional body telling you? What is your intuition telling you? I need you to write that down. I need you to come to the crossroads, and I need you to burn that. I need you to call out, and I need you to be very vulnerable and very transparent with what you're feeling. Because it is at this crossroads where I am going to hear you. I hear you in your ritual. I hear you when you write down your sacred text. I hear you no matter where you are. But there is a very intense significance about this crossroads. And for those people that are highly intuitive, that are very ritualistic, in their workings, it is a message to meet spirit where you are. It is a message to meet the divine, and to completely strip yourself, and to completely regurgitate and omit anything, and to banish this energy, to conjure the courage to banish this unwanted muck that is residing within you, that is on your emotional body, that is on your spiritual body. And when you meet spirit at this crossroads, this is you calling out to spirit saying, I need you, and I trust you to help me get to where I need to be. I trust you to carry me through this tumultuous time. I trust you to be the one that I can call on no matter what. I trust you to be that and more. I trust you to be divine. And when you trust in the divine, you trust in yourself. Because see, you are divine. You are the divine. You are meeting yourself. You are one of 1,000 names. You have the power to eliminate all that does not serve you. And when you meet the eyes of God, You are peering through your own soul, and you have to be able to trust yourself through this cosmic change. Remember, God is divine order in divine chaos. I also want you guys to remember that when you are at this crossroads, you have the ability, the right to unravel these layers that were built upon you through societal pressures, through family pressures, and through who you thought that you should be. And I really do believe that being at this place is essential for our ascension. And I truly do believe that just as the snake sheds its skin, we are also shedding layers that we built trying to survive. I wanted to go ahead and share another download that I received about being at this crossroads. And one of the things that came through is that when you are at this place, you then become more in tune with the potency and the intensity of your intuition, right? It's the place where you go to be divinely guided. And the significance in this, in my dream, is that we are to become closer to God in a time of, that chaos that we were talking about, especially in this time of destruction. We are being given clues as to what to do to not only survive, but to thrive in this new world. And I really do believe that when you are in dead smack in the middle of this road or this crossroads, I feel as though each of these different paths are going to lead you to something, but the path can ultimately lead you to another crossroads. And there's 4 points, or there's 4 roads that all lead to the center point. And each of these roads, I feel, are a representation of where we've been and how it all leads us back to this one sacred place. I know that I'm stepping outside of the ordinary occult meaning and symbolism of the crossroads, but these are really just divine messages that are coming through for me, and I'm just going to take them as they are. And in that spirit, I want to continue sharing the messages that came through with you all. Also, there's still some things that I need to tell you about the dream, but I've already bookmarked that so that we can get back to that, and then I will wrap it all up for you, obviously at the end. But anyways, so I wanted to share with you a few cards that I had pulled, and those 3 cards were from the tarot deck, the Rider-Waite tarot deck. And those cards were the Justice card, the 2 of Swords, and the 6 of Swords. Now, guys, of course, with these cards that came out, I feel like this is us meditating on the fact that we know that while these energies are bringing themselves back into a balance, we are sitting with the fact that we know that we have no other choice but to transition during this tumultuous time. And this is where the messages get a little bit more, I don't want to say sad, but they get a little bit more on the heavier side. And I say that because some of the downloads that I received another download that I received was that we are going to be leaving, or some of us are going to be leaving, some of our families behind us. Now, here's what I mean by that. So if you listen to any of my previous messages, I think it was in like another podcast that I did where I talked about, people are not going to be able to come with us, or we're not going to be able to take these people along with our journeys. Well, it's because we're not. And one of the downloads that I got was that some people are going to still be caught up in this old energy, or they're going to be sucked into this new way of being so far to where they lose sight of who they are, to where they start to lose consciousness, to where they become zombified. And in order to prevent you from becoming like that or like them, no shade to them, because we're all on our journeys, we're all here to learn something. It's just that you were not meant to experience that. And it's painful for us to have to sit here and really soak in the fact that, damn, like I can't, take my people with me. Like what is it? Like, why can't come to an agreement that, this is something that we all need, when in fact, this is not something that we all need. And I understand the importance of being able to take your blood family with you, but I intuitively feel like we are being challenged to question ourselves and say, what is a family and who consists of that thing? And I really do believe that we are leaving behind the old and we are reconstructing and building ourselves anew with this new energy that we are being presented. And this includes the people that are around us. And I do believe that just as we meet spirit at that crossroads, we are also going to be meeting up with our soul tribe, with our true family, whether that be people we are related to by blood or whether that be people that we are just simply related to in spirit. And it's just such a sickening thing to see, all of these things crumbling down. But at the same time, this is just a way that, we are coming to know ourselves. This is just a way that, we are coming to know, who we are. And again, everything is just happening in such divine timing. And I know that it's so hard for us to see this right now, or it's really hard for like a lot of us to see this, but there's so much beauty in this divine chaos. There's so much beauty in, this destruction. And one of those things is, humanity reuniting. At the very beginning of the pandemic, I remember seeing videos on Instagram about, I think it was Italy, that was coming together when they were playing those instruments out and out their windows, and people were enjoying that. And that's sending chills up my arms and my spine right now, because that is the beauty of humanity. Like, these are the things that we are capable of. I feel like people are going to be more inclined in sharing their art and sharing the beauty that lies within the soul. And that was another download that I had received. It was that we are able to take this pain and we are able to construct this portrait and turn it into something beautiful, instead of something that is seen as, as negative. And in that spirit, I also feel as though we are coming to terms with supporting each other. We are building a new community of people, of entrepreneurs, especially, so that we can start to then again support each other versus support and spend our money on these corporations who don't give a fuck about us anyway. I really do believe that it is through our sovereignty that we are able to come together and create this one sovereign collective that is deserving of each other's time, energy, and love. I know that was a mouthful, but I was so excited saying that, because I'm telling you guys, like, the vision is so clear. Like, what I keep seeing, the cards that I keep pulling for myself, but I also feel like it relates to the collective, is I kept seeing the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of, I think it was the 10 of Cups actually. And this really just gives the energy of us being able to share what we have with other people in a way that is fulfilling. But not only that, we are coming to terms with the fact that this is a new life that we are headed towards. Now, I feel like with the other messages that I gave in the past and the other previous episodes, and I will link those down in the description box, or I will put the names down in the description box so that you can go back and listen. That is the reason why Spirit has been coming to us, telling us that we need to start preparing to leave, that we need to start preparing to transition. It's because when shit hits the fan, we have to be able to stick together. And I really do believe that a lot more people are coming out and understanding that yes, they are in pain, yes, they are scared, yes, they're afraid, but at the same time, when we come together as a collective, we can then, meditate on the fact that we have the ability to take back control and remember that we've had control the whole time. And I believe that is the reason why Spirit is challenging us to think about what is a family, what is true family. And I really do believe that I'm going to be doing another podcast on that. So I'm going to put a bookmark in that so that I can come back to that topic. But anyways, I want to continue on with the message. Now I want to revisit the very beginning of the dream where I saw those two primates communicating with each other and talking about the land, because I feel like this relates to the previous message that I just gave you all. And with that, I feel as though we are being reminded that it is more effective to work with each other and work with the earth than it is to work against each other and work against the earth. I feel like this is a call to environmentalism, to recognizing how you are benefiting the planet and each other, and how you are either contributing to that or contributing to the destruction of the planet and each other. And I feel like this is a reminder that we are all connected with each other, and we are also all connected to the earth. I also feel like the fact that this was a being or a species that didn't communicate linguistically the way that we do in language, or at least in the language that we speak, is because we need to start communicating with each other in a way that is not, rooted in ego, but more so critical thinking in a way that is productive to help save us and the other species on the planet. Humans have contributed to many species dying and going extinct on the planet. However, if we were to disappear off the face of the earth, of course, because of our own destruction, then of course that would make room for more species to thrive. Now, I wanted to go ahead and read you guys a quick article. It's about 1 minute. I found this article. It's plantbasednews.org. So I do trust the numbers here, and I'm just going to go ahead and read this to you. It's called Humanity Blamed as Wildlife Populations Plummet by 68% since 1970. Wildlife population sizes of mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles have dropped by an alarming 68% between 1970 and 2016, according to a new report published by WWF. The Living Planet Report 2020 also documents a 94% decline in wildlife population in the tropical subregions of the Americas, which has been described as the largest fall observed in any part of the world. It blames humanity for the declining population, stating that the world has been transformed by an explosion in global trade, consumption, human population growth, and urbanization in the last 50 years. The report does not include the nuclear 3 billion animals that were either killed or displaced during Australia's catastrophic fires in the past year. The Living Planet Report 2020 clearly outlines how humanity's increasing destruction of nature is having catastrophic impacts not only on wildlife populations but also on human health and all aspects of our lives, said Director General of WWF International Marco Lambertini. I hope I pronounced that right. And I just also wanted to point out that WWF actually stands for, I believe it's the Worldwide Fund for Nature. I believe that's what it stands for just in case anybody is wondering what that stands for. The way we produce and consume food and energy and the blatant disregard for the environment entrenched in our current economic model has pushed the natural world to its limits. Lambertini added that there is still an opportunity to heal our relationship with nature and to mitigate risks of future pandemics. So as you can see here, the numbers that, these percentages are fucking ridiculous. But this has everything to do with us being brainwashed into having a life of excess, having excess. And when I go back to that part of the dream, what I feel coming from that is that we need to pull from the earth and, quotes, destroy the earth in a way that is productive. For example, when you pull a potato from the roots, from the ground, that is indeed an act of destruction. When you are cutting down an apple from a tree, that too is an act of destruction. But when you are taking an excess, then it does have, of course, harmful impacts on the planet, especially when you are providing food for billions of people on the planet. And this doesn't even include all the species and insects and things of that nature that also rely on the planet for their survival. Now, I will be sure to link this article down in the description, and I will also link down the full article, which I found online, of course, obviously, right? And this one is a PDF. It's called Living Planet Report 2020. I haven't read anything from this year. I will be looking for those, but the document that I found was from f.hubspotusercontent20.net, and that is where you can actually find it. Like I said, I'll go ahead and link that down in the description for you, for anyone who was interested in reading more in depth on this. And this PDF has lots of pages. I mean, this thing is about 83 pages long, so you've got a lot of things, to read on if you are interested. And it's really, really interesting because it definitely does go into like the future predicted rise of biological invasions. It talks about different ways to get to the future that we want. It talks about how biodiversity is fundamental to food security and things of that nature. So this is a very in-depth document. It's really amazing because it's got all types of graphics that you can see, and it's got these charts that you can look at and research as well, and how, we impact the planet and how we need the planet and things of that nature. So like I said, I'll go ahead and make sure I link that. But anyway, the point that I was making was that in the dream, this was a call to action for environmentalism, and we need to start, really becoming more aware of what we're doing now, especially with the world moving more to a world of AI. Of course, this whole thing with Mark Zuckerberg and this, this metaverse, bullshit that's coming out. excuse my French on that, but I'm not feeling it. I think I'm gonna do another podcast, specifically geared towards that. But that reminds me, that's another download that I received earlier in the week. Those of you guys that know me, especially if you know me personally, I don't fuck with conspiracy theories. I take things as symbolic. There are some things that I definitely do take literally. Now, this next message, I know that people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Another download that I received was a zombie apocalypse. Now, it's not funny because it's not anything to bullshit around and laugh about, but I'm laughing because the idea, it sounds so far-fetched, especially if you're a person who thinks rationally. Now, I'm going to do my best to explain this in a more rational manner because, again, I don't fuck with conspiracy theories. I don't like it. I'm not with it. I'm not fucking with those. Conspiracy theories are the reasons why our witches were burned back in the day, just for the sake of being burned, and also because people spread lies about them, they were misunderstood and things of that nature. I feel that conspiracy theories can be very fucking harmful, and not even conspiracy theories themselves, but the people who spread them. So I try to take everything I can as symbolic. However, I feel like there is some truth to this. I don't have any, statistics or anything to back it up, but I'm just going to tell you guys how I feel rationally and intuitively. So if you guys hear an airplane flying by, I'm so sorry. I keep trying my best to edit this, but I am on a whim right now and I cannot stop, won't stop. So if you hear an airplane, I'm so sorry. I'll do my best to edit it out in the audio, but for the most part, I just gotta keep going. Now, moving forward, let's go ahead and review the definition of a zombie. Now, zombie. Noun, a corpse said to be revived by witchcraft, especially in certain African and Caribbean religions. And that is going to be another podcast because what the fuck. And we're going to continue. In popular fiction, a person or reanimated corpse that has been turned into a creature capable of movement but not of rational thought, which feeds on human flesh. A world overrun by zombies. And then it says informal, a person who is or appears lifeless, apathetic, or completely unresponsive to their surroundings. 2, a tall mixed drink consisting of several kinds of rum, liquor, and fruit juice. Sounds like a death drink. But anyways, so one of the things that I'm going to say, you guys, is that I am a person, even though, I'm a very intuitive individual, if I must say so myself, I'm not being, arrogant or anything like that. I'm pretty intuitive, but I also like to think rationally. Now, I do not believe that zombies are going to be people who are coming back from the dead, eating on corpses and things of that nature, but I feel that zombies are symbolic for people who are not going to be able to think for themselves. Now, the way that movies depict zombies is they depict them as, these dead humans who are just, they're zombified, like the way that they walk, they run, they growl, and, they're very primal, and their only instinct is to infect others, or their other instinct is to feed on human flesh. Now, I do believe that this is really to desensitize people, but I want to say that in this sense, relating to the real world, I feel like we are going to be dealing with a lot of people who are sick, sick physically, but also sick mentally. They are going to be so reliant on a system to cure them to where they literally cannot survive without this cure or this antidote to, that belongs to the powers that be or whatever. And I also believe that we are going to be dealing with people who have lost their ability or who have sacrificed their ability to think rationally and for, knowing how to think because they want to remain rooted in a false sense of security. I'm going to just say that. And so I believe that that's what the real zombie is. And, this is no offense to anyone, who's like this, but, there are people on this planet who act as if they are zombies. These are people who act as though they have no ability to remember or understand or analyze, or evaluate anything, and I really do believe that we are walking amongst the living dead already. But it's going to get worse when people start to become more sick from not taking care of their bodies, from not prioritizing their health, from blindlessly, putting things into their bodies. And it's just such a sad sight because the vision that I get from this and the visions that I have received from this, they're not very pretty. And I just want you guys to know that the visions that I received, the prophecies that I've been given, I want you to all to know that they have the ability to change. Because the thing about prophecies is that the way our minds work, first of all, is that our minds are designed to pick up information from our external world, and we internalize that, and that's how we are able to then create these scenarios or these possible scenarios that have the ability to come true, and sometimes they don't come true. Now, if you've ever seen a person who is an intuitive who makes a prophecy or gives some type of insight as to what can happen in the future, it's not that they were trying to be wrong, or they were purposely wrong, or that they were wrong. It's just what they're doing is like they're pulling from the possibility. They went with something that could potentially happen, but it just does not mean that it will happen. So having said that, this is something that has a high potential of happening, maybe not in the way that we see in movies. However, it does have a very high probability of happening based off of what we are seeing right now, based off of what we are seeing happening in the world with people. I don't know if this is you, but have you ever talked to a person that just seems like they're not there? That when you talk to them about something important, or when you talk to them about something, intelligent, or when you're trying to have an intelligent rapport with someone, and it just kind of seems like they're tapped out, like they don't know what you're talking about, they don't know what speech is. I'm talking about that. Like, that can be considered someone who is a zombie, who has no type of thinking at all. Now, cognitive thinking is not the same as critical thinking, but I'm just saying in the sense that, some people just don't know how to think. They only know what to think. You can consider those people zombies. You can also consider people who have been mindlessly brainwashed, who remain there in their brainwashing, who are rooted in fear, who decide, not to think. I mean, there are people who literally feel as though it's better to not think at all. And so those two are people who are considered zombies as well. Now, this is not to just throw labels on people, but this is just a way for us to understand the type of person we are talking about. That way we are not being given this illusion as to what zombies are. Now, I know that before, some people have reported seeing, zombie police cars and, surfacing the internet, and things like that. And I've actually seen, a couple of those videos myself, but I like to still think on a more rational level as it pertains to things like that. And like I said, I try to take my visions and apply them to the real world, and in a way that makes sense for everyone, that, is also not rooted in conspiracy. So I really hope that you guys understand what I am explaining here. If there's anyone who is confused by this, I am more than happy to have a discussion with them on it, as long as it is a very productive conversation and not something that is rooted in ego. What I'm giving you right now, you guys, is not rooted in ego. These are things that I have seen, in my third eye's mind, right? These are things that I have seen. So I do believe that there is a possibility for a zombie apocalypse, in the sense that there are going to be lots of people who are not thinking, and who are sick, and who are infecting others, and, that disease or that virus, is spreading all over the place to a point where it becomes a pandemic. Let's just say that, right? And I want to say that in the dream, I feel as though this is a reminder. Again, this is a call to action. This is a call to environmentalism, but this is also a call to start eating more of the earth instead of eating all of this artificial shit. Now, I know that in some states it is illegal for you to catch rainwater. It's illegal for you to grow your own food. And think of what's happening with our farmers now. They're trying to turn this world into a world of artificial. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't fucking Bill Gates just buy like 40 something acres of land or some shit like that? Right? And I believe, on that note, don't get me wrong, I don't know exactly how many acres it is or something like that, but I know that Bill Gates just bought land like not too long ago. Now, the land is being bought up like crazy. Now, just imagine all the food and all the land that these people are buying, or all the land that, these industries are buying for food production. can be land that the people can use for their families, for their generations. Meanwhile, they're also buying land for themselves. Now, this should tell you that there is a high demand for land. I remember another download that I got before where I was telling everyone that, well, people who follow me, that they needed to start their Eden or start a garden to start to learn how to grow food. Because another download that was, given to me was that either they're going to fake a food shortage or there is going to be a food shortage. I don't know exactly which one it's going to be, but I know that there is a possibility for there to be a need for you to be dependent on the land. Do you see what I'm saying? And I feel like either way it goes, we need to start understanding how our ancestors cultivated this land, and we need to start understanding what fruits and what vegetables are native to what lands and which fruits and vegetables to grow in whatever season it is. Do you see what I'm saying? That way we are working with nature and not against it. Do you see what I'm saying? I feel like there are some things, even though we are progressing in technology, even though we are, becoming, more evolved humans, I think it's still okay for us to take what our ancestors have taught us about the land and kill that dearly, because again, we are still a part of nature. Nature can survive without us, right? But we cannot survive without nature. Do you see what I'm saying? We still need oxygen to breathe. We still need to eat. We still need shelter. It's like we cannot live a life without nature. However, nature can live a life without us. Right? Nature can flourish without us. But the more that we take care of our planet, the more that we take care of Mother Earth, of Mother Gaia, we are in turn establishing a connection with her, but we're also establishing a connection with ourselves and with each other. And I believe that by us learning how to work with the land, thus forming a world of unity. And I feel like that is where spirit is leading us now. We are learning how to work with each other and with the planet in order to reach a world of unity. And I believe that it is highly important, it is imperative that we become more aware of ourselves so that we can then become aware of our environment, so that we can then become more aware of each other. And I think with this, it's coming back full circle. Like, this is the way the circle of life should be. Do you see what I'm saying? And I really do believe that that is the reason why we are being pulled out of this reality and being pushed into another one. This great reset is an opportunity for us to reclaim the world and regain control. Remember, those who have the power to influence have the real power. Those who have the power to control are the ones who have the major influence. Do you see what I'm saying? And I really do believe that it is up to us to reclaim our power by not being easily influenced, but by going with what we know intuitively is right versus going just with what we are being told or forced to be given. Do you see what I'm saying? It's more than that. And I think that's where spirit is leading us. Now, to wrap this all up, I just want you guys to know that everything that you are doing right now, all the root work, all the shadow work that you're doing, all of the reclaiming your self-love, all of the falling back in love with yourself, this is just preparation for you to become sovereign, because we are being led to a life of sovereignty. This is mental sovereignty. This is us recognizing the fact that this world, or the powers that be, are fighting for our consciousness. It wants to control our consciousness. It wants to control who we are. You see what I'm saying? If you can control the mind, you can control anything, in the sense that you're not necessarily controlling anything, but you're controlling you and your response to what is being done, if that makes sense. I remember watching this episode in Avatar. I believe it was the lion turtle, or the turtle lion, and I remember this beast, this magnificent creature saying, "The true mind can weather all the lies and illusions without being lost. The true heart can touch the poison of hatred without being harmed. Since beginningless time, darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purifying light." And that's always stuck with me. And I really do feel like, even though this is a children's anime show, I believe that we all can learn a lesson from this. It's that we have the ability to perceive past the illusions. And if we can do that, then we will always remain pure, in a sense that we will always remain in tune with spirit. Do you see what I'm saying? And to be in tune with spirit is to be in tune with thyself. And to be in tune with thyself is to be in tune with everything around you. It's to be in tune with each other. And I feel honestly deeply that that is where we are headed. That's where we are going. That is the reason for all of the messages that have been given to you through me, especially when I talk about the void, which I'm actually going to be doing a podcast on the intuitive understanding of the void. But anyways, let's continue on with the message. Here it says, in the era before the avatar, we bent not the element, but the energy within ourselves. Now let's unpack that just real quick. It is not about what you can control outside of you, but it is more so you internalizing that control and controlling yourself. It is you controlling the energy within you and understanding that you have no control over anyone else. You have no control over the powers that be, but you can control what you consume. You can control what you are doing. You can control what you are, consuming and putting your mind in or putting your thoughts into. You can control all of that. And to continue, it says, to bend another's energy, your own spirit must be unbendable or you will be corrupted and destroyed. It's not the fact that you are trying to control another person. It's they are bent when they are not able to move you. Your own spirit must be unbendable, meaning that your spirit must be so strong in divine power that it cannot be tainted. It cannot be movable. It cannot be controlled. It cannot be destroyed. Do you see what I'm saying? It cannot be corrupted because it is always divine. It is always a part of that divine source. It is never taken away from its power. Do you see what I'm saying? And I really do believe that that is what's going to help us maneuver into this new world. That is what's going to help us in the new world. But most importantly, that is what's going to help us reclaim our world and do it our way. And that's what they are afraid of. So, having said that, I hope that everything made sense. I hope that you all are reminded that your healing is the catalyst for rebuilding your strength in this new world. I hope that you all remember that you've got this shit in the fucking bag. I hope that you know that you are a spiritual badass and there is nothing that you cannot handle or that you cannot do. There is so much power in the human will. And if it is your will to thrive, then let your will be done. Understand that no one has the power over you unless you voluntarily give that power up to these forces. No one can take anything away from you. They can take away your material assets. They can take away anything they want in the material world. But what they cannot take over is your spirit, is your soul. That they cannot give, that they cannot take. They can only ask for it, and you have the permission to give it to them or to keep it to yourself, to keep that energy. You are unmovable. You are unbendable. That is the reason why that message came through, telling us to work with the earth element. See, the earth element, and this is why I fuck with Avatar. This is why I love that kids anime series, because one of the elements that that Aang had to learn how to bend was the earth element, but he had a very hard time bending, earth because he was so fluid and he was so airy. And what he had to do was he had to stand his ground. He had to become unmovable, unbendable. And once he learned that lesson, shout out to Toph, once he learned that lesson, he then was able to work with the earth element. See, earth is not stagnant, but earth is sturdy. It's rooted and it cannot be moved. Do you see what I'm saying? It can be manipulated in a sense that it can be used, but in this sense, what we're talking about is we are learning how to become more rooted and more grounded. And this draws me to the very last vision that I received, is that there was a world of unity. Now, maybe this is wishful thinking, or maybe this is just maybe a vibe that I'm picking up, but people are waking up in numbers around the world. What happens in one part of the world eventually affects the other part of the world. And what I do believe is that, just as I was talking about what happened in the videos that I saw with people, playing their instruments out the window and how everyone was enjoying it, imagine if we all stood together and, just like in V for Vendetta, what if, if you know. But anyways, I feel like we do have the ability to continue to share our arts with the world, to share who we are. It is through our art that we are able to reveal our subconscious and reveal our shadows and tame our shadows and reveal what we have been feeling that we've been rejected or that we have been rejecting. We have the ability to share that stuff with the world in a way that creates unity. See, when we perceive each other's arts, we are then unraveling and peering into another dimension of each other. And I feel that the more that we peer into these dimensions, the more that we learn about each other, the more that we realize that we, as different as we are really one and the same. We all have our flaws. We all have things that we want to work on. We all have our fears. But at the same time, when we come together, we can then demolish those fears and finally exist in peace and love and high vibes. Thank you all so much for holding space with me today. I appreciate your love, your light, your vibes, and your attention. I am so happy that we are here on the journey to our highest versions, and I cannot wait to interact with you next time. If you need me for any reason, I will make sure to link down my social media in the description box. You can also visit the apothecary, where I do sell my online ritual items, oils, herbs, candles, and things of that nature. Be on the lookout for updates for things of that nature as well. I love you guys. Thank you, tribe, for tuning in to this podcast episode. I have enjoyed our time here. In case you need to reach me, you can visit my Instagram at Magic of Eden. There you can find short posts of inspiring messages, witchy tips, and much more. You can also visit my online apothecary to purchase herbs, ritual oils, candles, and book readings. I am excited to hear from you.